I take no pleasure in bringing the second horror case of the day from the courts, the legal system, so-called legal system in Northern Ireland. Here we have a story that's just breaking this afternoon, and I have looked everywhere for further details in bigger publications. There's nothing yet, absolutely nothing. So this story was posted up earlier on this afternoon, just a couple of hours ago on Belfast Live. You know, you have to wonder the depth to which people can actually sink. And these people are just everywhere, everywhere. Anyway, let's get into the details. This one is horrific, horrible, disgusting, but not surprising at the same time. So, man accused of trafficking a teenage girl and arranging for his own son to horribly assault her. His own son, trafficking a girl, a teenage girl, and then arranging for his own son to assault her. This is a case that came today before Newtownards Magistrates Court just a few hours ago. A man was remanded into custody. They didn't let him out. And the reason why they didn't let him out, because they didn't want a repeat of Ballymena. And interesting, let me just make some observations as I'm talking here. It's interesting that I noticed some of the reports on the Ballymena assault on that young girl in particular. They were referring to the perpetrators as Bulgarians, said they were Bulgarian men. They were also reported as members of the Roma community. This guy here is going to be described as a Bulgarian national also. But with certain behaviors in this report, you'll see that are attributable to the Bulgarian/Roma community. I'm just saying what it says here. So he was remanded into custody. The father, standing handcuffed in the dock of the Newtownards Magistrates Court, the 37-year-old defendant who cannot be named in order to protect the identity of the son, spoke through an interpreter. And you'll see later on in this report that he's allegedly been living and working here for years, doing what? That he doesn't need to speak English. So anyway, the dad was in the court, handcuffed, 37 years of age, spoken to through an interpreter to confirm his identity, and understood 3 charges against him. He's described as a Bulgarian national facing charges of human trafficking with a view that the victim would be exploited, false imprisonment of a 14-year-old, and arranging or facilitating an offence that he intentionally directed his son to conduct an activity with the child. I don't even want to say the words. I don't take any pleasure in these stories. That I hate them, but people need to know, because it's not being spoken about. It's not being spoken. It's being suppressed. The defendant's 16-year-old son appeared in court on Saturday. Last Saturday, I didn't hear anything about that. And he too was remanded into custody, having been refused bail. They're in no hurry to let these folk out at the minute, given what might happen to them if they go back into their community or disappear back to Romania, as one of them did in the Ballymena case, within hours of the 2 14-year-olds being arrested. In court today, Detective Constable Beggs gave evidence that he believed he could connect the defendant to each of the charges. They were objecting bail due to the risk of a flight from the country. Yes, we've seen that already. There's also an objection to the 37-year-old going back to his home to address concerns for his safety. Beggs told the court the alleged offences came to light after police received an emergency phone call from Bulgaria on the 10th of July, with the girl's family reporting she was being kept alive against her will. The complaint said she was stuck there. She'd also been brutally assaulted by this 16-year-old, and further said that she was pregnant. And this girl was brought over. Their families knew each other. She was brought over, initially stayed with this family, loosely speaking, family, before they dropped their veil of being nice to her and began assaulting her. When she first arrived, they treated her well, and she was happy to cook and clean and help around the house, but on one occasion she was too tired to cook. The 14-year-old girl was allegedly assaulted by the defendant's son and his wife. The family, get the whole family involved, like the Puskas with Aisling Murphy. Not bad enough that Joseph decided to unalive her viciously beside a canal, but his two brothers and their wives and his wife were all complicit in covering up his heinous crime. Here we have a father, a son, and a wife getting together to traffic, abuse, and beat, allegedly, a young girl. It was a few days later, on her 14th birthday, when the 16-year-old. The court heard on Saturday that, according to the complaint, he entered the room, locked the door, placed his hand over her mouth, and abused her, laughing throughout the ordeal. DC Begg said since the incident, the teenager was locked in a room, only allowed to leave for a few minutes at a time. Her phone was taken away and she had no way to communicate with anyone. When the father and son were arrested, the court heard the police seized 8 mobile phones. 8. What did they need 8 mobile phones for? Even if there was only 3 of them in the house. Mother, father, and son, one each is 3, 2 each is 6, almost 3 each. 8 mobile phones, £1,000 in cash, and travel documents from the property. There was another 17-year-old girl at the same time living in that place. Another one. She said she was not being held against her will and she hadn't been forced into any activities with anyone. House of Horrors. During police interviews, the man, and I use that term very loosely, claimed the son alleged the victim they were actually married. Married, what, a wee girl who just turned 14, claiming that they had known each other since they were a lot younger and they liked each other. Now listen to this. He said it was a tradition in the Bulgarian ROMA community that when 2 children liked each other, they were allowed to be together. Really? Tradition? Yeah, among sickos. If released, the defendant could travel back to Bulgaria and not return, said DC Beggs, adding that having spoken to immigration authorities, the 37-year-old has overstayed his current visa. So why is he here? Why is he here? He said, while the defendant has a clear record in Northern Ireland, yeah, everyone has a clear record until they're caught. Just because you have a clear record doesn't mean you're not a criminal. Obviously, it could mean you're not a criminal, but it doesn't guarantee that you're not a criminal. He doesn't have a clear record now. At least he's been accused of these crimes, but has not yet been proven guilty yet. Obviously, with the nature of allegations, the defendant has been human trafficking. We would be concerned, even without a passport, there may be ways and means he could get out of the country or move country. The same thing was said earlier on about the Ballymena case. They're admitting you don't need a passport or travel documents to get in and out of this country. They've admitted it twice in one day. And therefore be a flight risk. Let's read it again. even without a passport, there may be ways and means he could get out of the country or move country and therefore be a flight risk. Applying for bail, defence counsel said the defendant vehemently and consistently denied the offences during police interviews, so he is entitled to a presumption of innocence. Yeah, he's entitled to a lot of things. Let's hope he gets what he's entitled to. Let's hope he gets everything that he's entitled to. He's been living and working here in Northern Ireland for a number of years. She told Judge O'Hare his wife had come to court with £2,200 to lodge his cash surety, arguing he could be granted bail with a package of conditions. Then that shows the naivety of the barrister. How is this man supposed to leave the country when the police have seized his passport and all his national identity cards? They already said, you don't need them to leave the country. There's ways and means. For all the education and for all those qualifications, barrister at law. Judge O'Hare replied, however, that to his mind, I don't believe there are conditions I can impose that would alleviate flight risk. So he refused bail and remanded him in custody until the 14th of August. You know, that's two really in the one day, two almost, well, very similar stories. And notice the similar statements that have been made about entering or leaving, in this case, the country without a passport or travel documents. It can be done. 2 court transcripts or 2 court reports today have said the same thing. Let people know what's going on. Cut and paste this link, dump it into your Facebook group, your WhatsApp group, an email group, whatever. Just get it out there. Subscribe to this channel if you don't already do so. Leave me a comment below. Tell me what you think. If you can be bothered or stomach it. Sometimes it's therapeutic. A lot of people like to vent in the comment section, and you're more than welcome to do that. But anyway, for now, I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media. Over and out.